Awesome. Thanks for tuning into the Three Circles Living podcast, where you can learn how to improve your life. And it's no matter if you want to accelerate your professional career, have better relationships, be healthier, and find fulfillment in your life. This is the podcast for you. And as always, please make sure to share it and leave a comment with the nugget that's most valuable to you. That's important to us, and we'll take it and help you further if you share it. Today, we're diving into strength and really talking about how to own your strength and how it is helping you to get to confidence and clarity and also energy in your life. It all has an impact on it. And let's dive right in. It's all about mental health still and giving you the resources and the pieces to really thrive in your life.
This topic, it's such a great topic. I mean, I know I say that every week when we're doing something, but and so why wouldn't I say this is a great topic? But no one should go through much of their life without being totally aware of their strength zones and their weaknesses. That
Mm.
it doesn't make any sense. And we are not in any general sense of the education process do we get honing on that. And so if this is your first exposure to this kind of conversation, I would encourage you immediately to find some online strength finding information or as we've mentioned in the past, take a disc because that will reveal some of at least your personality and preference and reveal some strengths and weaknesses there. But this is too important. If you are in any sort of leadership or aspire to leadership, you must understand you cannot hide your weaknesses. That is not a thing. Everyone that you touch in your workplace knows your weaknesses. So you must know them too, because if you try to hide them, you are going to look disingenuous and you will not be trusted. You will literally lose your ability to lead because you will look arrogant. You will look stupid. You will look all the things you don't want to look. So in leadership, you definitely do not have a choice but to clarify this. But in life in general, you want to know what your gifts are. The proverb says your gifts will make room for you. We're all different, right? We all have our own set of things and we all have strengths. We're supposed to use those. We're not supposed to hide them. We're not supposed to ignore them because we're walking some path that someone told us that we should walk, right? If you're walking a path that is not using your strengths, you need to dive off of that path as fast as possible. So there's my opening salvo, Chris.
I love it. I want to go back real quickly, just for a moment, to weaknesses, because I know it's very easy for us to identify those. Like, but I'm not good at speaking in public, but I'm not good at doing this. But so and so said that I can't do it. I got a D or whatever in school for that. So I'm not good at math. I'm not anything, right? We're really fast to identify that. And but I love what you actually say in your book, and you alluded to that here too. It's everybody has weaknesses. We all have weaknesses. We cannot be good at everything. That just doesn't work, and it wouldn't be fun actually either. But don't let your weaknesses define you or limit in what you're doing. And I will give a quick example from my life, and hopefully it's an encouragement to other people. But I was told by my English teacher in 12th grade that I should not speak English because she doesn't understand me, and I should definitely not get a job in that requires English, let alone live in a country where I only speak English. So here I am living in the States for 15 years, and I have to speak English every day. And then the second part, that wasn't even the worst
Well,
one.
and you're not going to say this, so I will. Chris leads people in her work, and
Yes.
she leads them well. Just so, sorry, Chris, just had to say.
Thanks. Thank you. Well, kind of wanted to say that, but my economy teacher, I barely got by in economy in school. Like I was really bad. And he's like, please don't do anything. Like, don't get a degree in this. You're not meant for this. Like, you're more the social person or something. What did I do? I went to get a business degree. And now, like Todd said, I'm actually in a leadership position, managing people in a business for other businesses and advising businesses on how they spend their money. So, yeah, don't let it define you. Like you can still, like if it's important to you, you can work on this. You can manage them. You can even get better at them.
You can. Although it's important to recognize, since we're talking about weaknesses, and we can stay here for a minute, because we want to get to strengths. Because one thing I'm clear about, if you're watching this, and I'm sitting in front of you, and I said, okay, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. I want you to write down all your weaknesses. Your pen wouldn't leave the paper. You'd be flying, right? Because you know a lot of them. Why? Because they punch you in the face all the time, A. And B, you've been told, which just like Chris, which is BS. A lot of times the people that are telling you, they don't even know. They don't know. Maybe they did a lousy job of instruction. Maybe they don't have any understanding. Maybe their depth is skewed by their lens. Maybe they're just limited. Maybe they're ignorant. I don't know. You want to keep going because there's a whole lot more reasons why someone could misdiagnose you with a weakness.
Hmm.
How about maybe you just hadn't spent time on it yet? That doesn't mean you don't have something as a weakness. So, but the point is, just like when we talked about successes and failures, they build freaking monuments to what they perceive as weaknesses. I know that I do, but I do that because I'm really clear. You're not supposed to spend time on your weaknesses. Once you've defined it actually as a weakness, right? Your weaknesses don't define you. Your strengths actually define you because that's how you carve your way in life and make your mark, so to speak. But your weaknesses, you're so hammered by them. And because we are conditioned negatively, you don't look in the mirror and look at what's good about you today. You look for that one blemish. Like, oh my gosh, look at that little blemish. I look terrible. Why? Because you got a blemish that nobody else even notices, but you do, right? And that is the nature of weaknesses. And so, I say this because I've conducted a lot of seminars and coursework and coaching where I had people identify their weaknesses before I had them identify their strengths. And I did it the way I did it that way because I wanted to demonstrate to them how easy it would be for them to define to make a list of weaknesses and how hard it would be for the strengths because nobody's been telling them, no one's conditioned them for that. No one has given them testing to reveal that. No one is trying to find that. And it's the magic key. It's the thing that helps you do well. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there. I would say it's really important. We should talk a little bit about weaknesses and get it out of the way.
Yeah.
I think it's important to really be clear whether or not something actually is a weakness or whether you perceive it as a weakness. And
Mm.
and what I mean is that there are many things right now that you would consider yourself weak in. You wouldn't think you could do them. You're not good at them, but you don't actually know you're making an assumption because you've never tested that. You've never tried really hard to learn it, right? And so before you classify something as a weakness, be clear that it is because I would have thought many years ago that speaking in public in any way, shape, or form would have been a substantial weakness for me. That's what I would have believed. As a matter of fact, I believed it so much that I took extra coursework. I literally met with the dean of the agricultural economics. That was the major I was in at that time. I changed my major 7 different times because I never went to class until I found a strength, which was economics, because that logic is perfectly sensible to me and I could get A's without studying. I couldn't do that anywhere else. But anyway, I went to the dean and said, what can I do to not have to take public speaking? What can I do? And literally, I got them to agree to let me take extra coursework. So I paid for it, right? Because I paid my own college. I had to take extra classes, but I avoided it because I was so terrified and it was so unnatural because I'm an introvert and I had low self-esteem and all that kinds of stuff. And even when I started doing it, it was absolutely freaking awful. It was horrible. But by doing it and pushing through it, I uncovered at a point that it was actually a gift, but I had suppressed it and stomped on it so much and believed so much that it was a weakness that I never would have uncovered it if I didn't have a reason to. And that is a big abject lesson. So anyway, really, really important to make sure you have clarified that something is in fact a weakness before you write it off as one.
Yeah. It's important. Like, is somebody else telling you that it is perceiving as a weakness? Do you know? Have you tried it? And you really don't like it, and it doesn't help you or support you in anything that you do.
Yeah, and it's also important to someone telling you that you're weak in something is similar to someone criticizing, right?
Mm.
And before you allow one molecule of what they've said to sit somewhere inside of your being, look really hard at this person. Who are they? What is their motivation? How well do they know you? What have
Mm.
they done in their life? Where have they been in their life? What have they accomplished? What have they been through? What have before you let someone's thought process touch yours, you need to be clear that it's someone worthy of uttering something out of their face that you should care about. I, I mean, you shouldn't take anybody at face value. Anybody.
I love that. Yes. All right. So let's jump over to the strength.
Wait,
That's
before we do, I want to ask you a question.
okay. Ask me.
What is your kryptonite?
My kryptonite?
Yes. To me, kryptonite is the ultimate weaknesses. It's like it's so easy to know that's a weakness that you don't even have to think about. What is your kryptonite?
Public, not public speaking. I love
No.
doing that. Um, I don't like anything where I have to do math and financial planning. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like doing that. I if somebody else can do it, I can delegate it. That's great.
Boom. Good. Mine's details and tech, right?
Then I love to figure that stuff out.
Yeah. And me, no way. Because I know it's not in a strength zone, right?
Yeah.
So I can learn to do something technically and I can learn it. Like I can do it and learn it and do it and do it and do it. And I'm still intuitively, I don't remember it. I can go away from it for a few days and it's like, well, I don't remember any of it, right? It's because
Yeah.
it doesn't stick to me. So
Okay.
important to know your kryptonites. Also important as a general rule, just put this out there. The only time you work on a weakness, the only time in life is when it gets in the way of using a strength. Otherwise, you are wasting your time because if it is truly in your weak zone, you are never going to get good at it. You can get adequate, right? You can get by,
Mhm.
but it's such a waste because you can multiply your strengths. Right? You can multiply the areas of impact from your strengths. You'll never get multiplication in a weakness area. So that is the only time that you should really dedicate yourself to fixing a weakness. Yeah, is if from as a general rule, right? There's always going to be exceptions, but
Yeah.
it's if it affects your ability to use the strength, you have got to deal with it. You have to figure out a way to deal with it. And that's in the book. Let's finish this piece, Chris, because I want to talk about strengths.
Yeah.
In the book, there are multiple things for weaknesses, right? So you need to learn to manage your weaknesses. So first, you have to. This is where self-awareness comes in. You have to become completely self-aware of all the areas you're weak. That means you're going to have weaknesses in your personality or perception. perceptive. Does that mean they're weaknesses? No, it just means they're not tendencies. They're not like where you're wired, right? And so you're going to see them as weaknesses because they're going to create blind spots and difficulties for you and discomfort. And so you have to learn how to navigate that. And then you're going to have practical things that you just talents, right? Some people like you, they can spend their whole life trying to dribble a freaking basketball and they can't do it. Their hand-eye coordination is just not there, right? And then other people, you hand them a ball and they're dribbling it the first time they ever had it, right? It, I mean, that's just an example, right? The math brain, the art brain, those are real things. The English brain, right? That's reality. That's what's part of what makes it cool, makes us all fit together. So there are systems you can learn to implement. There you can delegate weaknesses, you can contract a weakness, you can hire for a weakness, you can collaborate with someone for weaknesses, you can innovate for weaknesses, and you can learn, right? Again, but don't overlearn unless there's no other option, because it is a poor use of the resource of you, right? That's just the bottom line. But stop building monuments to your weaknesses. Everybody has them. So why build a monument? You're not special in that way. You're special in your gifting. That's where you're special. And so let's focus on that area. All
Yeah.
right, Chris, it's
It comes always down to self-awareness and where you focus your energy.
yes, yes.
All right. Strength. Let's talk about strength a lot. Let's talk about the positive and how how do people get to their strength? I know like strength can be in a lot of different areas. Like when I thought about it, because I was wired that way, that it had to be something that I was good at in school or that somebody told me I was good at. But it can be anything, like you mentioned, good at tech, good at like specific sports. It could be good at that you have a lot of resources in a certain way, or you're good at connecting and networking. You have specific skills in the technical skills, the math skills, the social skills. Um, how do you usually help people like to find their strength, or what do you help them to connect to them?
So first, what you just said, right? You said a lot in that little space. And strengths, right? That you have innate strengths, right? Which you could
Mhm.
call gifting or talent, right? That's or preference, or that's related to your personality or just how you're genetically put together. You have strengths like that, but then you have strengths that you accumulate through life, whether on purpose or just as a result of, right? Some people have insane strength of will, or they can endure an enormous amount of stuff. And that probably didn't happen because they wanted it to, right? It was a product of difficulty in their life, but it becomes an amazing tool for them. Strength of will, which we all have the capacity to have, that alone will take you anywhere you want to go. Just that one thing, right? But how do you get it? You got to get punched in the face over and over and over and over. You got to fall down and be dragged behind a car, right? You got to have the hardest stuff that you push through, because you get to the other side and you're like, whew. Right? It was Malcolm Gladwell in, oh crap. Now that I'm trying to think of the book, I'll never think of them. It's because I've read all his books. I can't remember. Outliers. In that book, he talks about how people with learning disabilities statistically do better in business than people who don't, which is so cool to me. And that's because school was so hard for them, right? It was so hard for them. Why? Because they're stuck in one system of learning that doesn't account for all the differences in people, right? And so that was so hard, but they learned to get pushed through stuff. And then they get to the business world and things that other people think are monumentally difficult. They're like, ah, reading was harder than that, right? I mean, they're like,
Yeah.
they just go do it and they don't care what the challenges are because they have strength of will. So you can accumulate like resources, knowledge, those become strengths, right? Networks of people, those are strengths. So there's all kinds of different kinds of strengths. But you can in a strength finding situation, and I encourage you to figure this out. Like where do you have these assets, right? That you look at them like assets, but it's really important to dig into the strengths that are in you, right? The things that you are given to develop. And we talk a little bit about this in the book. There's multiple books out there that are really good about strengths. Marcus Buckingham's books, Go Put Your Strengths to Work, I think is the name of that
Mm.
book. But that is a terrific book. It's been around for a while. I don't usually cite books that are current because what are they? Yeah, just somebody regurgitating what somebody wrote 20 years ago who was regurgitating what freaking Plato said, or I
Yeah.
mean, there's nothing new, right? I mean, there might be new ways to see it, new lenses. But he talks about what are you good at?
Hmm.
What are you good at? Like when you do it, you just because that's going to be transferable in that area, whatever that is. What kinds of areas do you learn quickly? Right? Because
Hmm.
that's such an important that means intuitively you've got some connectivity to it. Right? And for me, one of my weaknesses in life is I am a slow starter, I am a slow learner. I just am. I know that about myself. I'm aware of it. But wow, that serves me by being aware of it because then I'm patient in the process of learning. And so where other people are getting pissed off because they're falling down, I'm expecting to fall down. I know that that's what I have to do. And so I know that while the other person's picking up on it faster and that they're the they're the they're the hare, I'm the tortoise, but I also know that, they might not even finish the race, but I'm going to finish. I finish what I start. I don't care that it takes me longer. And so, what are the things that you learn quickly? So obviously I get into an area I learn quickly. That's like, oh my gosh, this is freaking awesome because it's
Hmm.
so unusual. And then interests. And this is why it's so important for people to explore so many different things in life, right? And discover and be curious because there's so much. You have so much, you have no idea. There's so many strengths and things that you would fall in love with that are inside of you. You don't even know what they are yet because you haven't explored anything. You think you have, but you haven't, right? It's impossible. The world's so big. And then, and this is really, what are the things that when you do them, they go by like that? They just, there's a blink of an eye. It's like, oh, they're gone. Like, we do this, and 30 minutes is gone in like 1 minute. I don't know how that happened. It's like some sort of time warp that we went through, but it makes you feel good, but it gives you power. And so, again, I'll use my example. I'm socially awkward because I'm an introvert. You wouldn't know this because I've worked so hard on the skills that I've made my social appearance would be as a strength. It's not.
Hmm.
It's still a weakness. My listening skills are off the charts because I've developed those. But if you stick me in a party for an hour, I will be exhausted, absolutely worn out from having to navigate that. But if you put me in front of a room of 100 people or 1,000 people for 5 hours, I will be on fire. And when I come out of that, I won't be physically tired yet, right? I will still be lit up. And that's how being in a strength zone feels. You just the more you do it, the more jazzed you get. You have to actually be purposeful in limiting how much you do it because
Hmm.
you will burn yourself to shreds because it lights your adrenals up.
Yeah.
So,
So
Chris,
like
what are some of yours? What are some of your strengths?
my strength,
Yeah.
I'm caring. Like I care, I deeply care, and I connect with people
Mm.
like this. And I always see the big picture. I can, not necessarily for myself, but for everybody else, I can connect the dots like it's no big deal.
So, how do you use that in making your way in life?
Well, at work, it definitely helps with being in a leadership position, knowing that what each person, where each person is at personally, and to help them grow, what they need to do next, what they need to work on, but also like how they can help their clients then in the other regard and how to interact with and collaborate with other departments. Um, Personally, it comes really in handy when you're a parent because
Mhm.
you always need to plan out all the plan B's and C's and D's. So that comes in handy that you're, like you said, you're very patient. Like nothing riles me up or gets me concerned over, yeah, okay, like that was an option, so let's go to the other option. It's fine, because I can pivot really quickly. So that has really helped because I was also very anxious growing up because I was told I'm that introvert and I can do these things. And once I figured that out, I'm like, wait a second, I can do all these things. Like I don't need anyone. And now my anxiety levels are way down. So,
Well, you can build an empire on caring,
hmm
because people will follow someone that they know cares about them. I mean, that is one of the unspoken questions that anyone who is in a situation of having the choice to follow a leader will ask. They won't, those words don't go across their forehead like, do you care about me? It's an innate thing that they feel. Do I trust this person? And
hmm
I can only trust them if they care about me. I can't trust them if they care only about what I my work product, right? Human beings aren't their work product. Right? If you only care about their work product, and if you're in a management, supervisor, any leadership position, listen to this. If you only care about the work product, you will always have a crappy work product, because the best people will never stay with you. The people who can crush it will go find somewhere else. That is a fact. You will
hmm
not be sustainable. You must care about people. That's a magical gift that you have, Chris. You can
Thank
go
you.
anywhere with that.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to say too, like when you said that when time flies or when you're having fun and that's like a strength of yours. And I know that there's somebody out there listening like, okay, I like to have fun and be at parties. Great. Do you know how many people are out there that don't like to plan parties or organize it and want somebody to do that? Go do that. Like you can anything, it doesn't matter what. Write it down when you, like you said, when your body feels right, when you're excited, when it gives you all that adrenaline, you're not exhausted afterwards. Like write that down. What did you do? When time flies, write that down. What were you doing? You can take all of that, especially in nowadays where you can literally make anything into a business or
Yep.
something to share. Um, just write it down.
That is such terrific advice that Chris just dropped. That's the point of this. Because if you don't do this and you don't do it on purpose, it's possible you will end up doing something to earn your living that is in line more with where you're weak. And that dissonance will eat you alive. You will be miserable and you won't understand why. You just will be miserable doing whatever it is that you're doing. You're meant to operate inside of your strength zones. So uncover them and then figure out how to utilize them and where to apply them.
Awesome. And share them with us. Once you're doing these exercises, share them with us. Comment on our podcast or on YouTube, wherever you watch or listen to us. And if you need some more help to connect the dots, I can help you for sure. And I know Todd can too, but just put it out there. There are people that can definitely help you. But do the exercises. It will change your life. It will, if you're struggling with low energy, this will definitely help you get more energy and less stress in your life. Knowing is important. Focusing on the good things and the strength, understanding your weaknesses, managing them. But overall, you have to unfortunately do it to understand it, and then you can focus on it.
But you'll be glad you did it. You will be
Yeah,
so glad you wish you did it sooner.
100%.
Chris, great work today, as usual.
Thank you. Thanks to all the listeners. Do your exercises. We want to hear from you, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye bye, everyone.
Bye.